John Cleese of Monty Python fame gave a wonderful talk about 20 years ago about how to structure such a session. This video has now been pulled down from YouTube, which is really unfortunate. But you can find the transcript. So if you search for Cleese and creativity, you can find the written transcript, and it's really very good. And in this video and in later talks, he talks about the importance of the intelligent unconscious. And this is that thing that we were talking about earlier. It's what happens during that period of incubation when we set a problem aside only to later have that aha moment where the solution comes to us. Cleese also makes reference to the work of Guy Claxton and his concept of the hare brain and the tortoise mind. The hare brain is that part of our mind that handles all the hectic items of our busy life. It's the one that's managing the to-do list that says, I have to bring home bread tonight. We have a party tomorrow. We have to do this. I have to do that. I have to, all these different things. It makes making hundreds of decisions a day. By contrast, the tortoise mind is slower. It's more reflective. It's more creative. It's more playful. When we're presented with a problem, our immediate reaction as humans is that we're placed in a stressful situation. Our sympathetic nervous system that creates the fight or flight response swings into action, and that paralyzes the creative portions of our brain. The hare brain tries to relieve this stress by jumping to the nearest solution to a problem. It uses convergent thinking. The tortoise mind, on the other hand, mulls this over, holds different contradictory possibilities in mind at the same time. The tortoise mind is engaged in divergent thinking, and allowing the tortoise mind to work is the key to creative thinking and advanced problem solving. So how do we allow the tortoise mind to do this in the midst of our hectic lives? There are three keys. Space. Find a space to work where you won't be interrupted. Decide in advance how long this session will be so that the hare mind knows that it can come back later. And ensure that the session is long enough that you can enter this state, quiet the hare mind, the hare brain, and allow time for the creative ideas to flow. The enemies of flow and creativity and the tortoise mind are interruptions and anxiety, and we all know that a programmer, when interrupted with a 30-second question, takes 15 minutes before he can get all the mental balls back in the air. So I've mentioned before that when I go on site with a client, I find, that private space. When I'm at home, I use a hammock. And this is my hammock. I took this picture right before I came on this trip. And it's weird saying to people who are hiring you and paying you money, yes, I'm spending your money and your time in a hammock. But when I'm in a hammock, I can't be interrupted by emails or by phone calls. When I'm in a hammock, the rhythmic, repetitive motion starts to occupy those centers of the brain that deal with handling the body, and it frees the mind. Technically, what's happening is that that's activating the parasympathetic nervous system, which counteracts that anxiety. So it's relieving stress. And now all you need is time. You've calmed the hare mind. You've said, don't worry, you can take over again at 2 o'clock. But this is my time for the barriers to come down, for rigid thinking to go away, for impossible solutions to sit there living next to each other, for long-forgotten memories to suddenly reassert themselves and say that they're important, for random associations to say that they're relevant. There's an interesting state of mind called hypnagogia, and the folks are telling me that I'm running long, so I have to hurry. The period of hypnagogia, and we've all experienced this, there's this period between the time you're awake and you're falling asleep, when you're in this kind of transitional state of mind. And that's a very interesting time, because that's when barriers are coming down, when associations can be made. It's very much like this state of flow. And so if you can find a way to induce that state and stay in that state, then you can be more creative than otherwise. The most famous example of this is a guy who discovered the closed ring structure of benzene. He was sitting in a cozy chair in front of a fire, and he started watching the flames, and he imagined that the flames were snakes, and one of the snakes started eating its own tail, and he realized that he was thinking about the molecular structure, and that's where that insight came from. For me, doing that has been the source of the best ideas of my career. Now, the writer's couch is famous for this kind of thing, but for me, if you lie down on the couch, the big danger is, you're approaching that sleep state, and then you fall asleep. If you fall asleep, you're not working. But if you're close to that state, that's something that you can strive for. This hammock is so important to me that I actually, much to my wife's dismay, I have 2 of them. There's one outside, but when it's raining, I have to work inside. Even if it's cold, I will put on a coat, I'll put on earmuffs, I will put on eye shades and go outside to my outside hammock, because that's the best one. That's the best hammock. The inside hammock isn't quite as good. So creativity is really nothing more than this iterative problem solving of allowing your tortoise mind to develop solutions to problems, and then allowing the harebrain to take over and say, okay, which of these is the best? So now you have a blueprint, something that you can actually follow. Creativity has now become a way of life for you. You have become different people at different times. You've been the explorer, the artist, the judge, and the warrior. You've practiced both convergent and divergent thinking. You've been both an introvert and an extrovert. You've been playful and you've been disciplined. You've learned how to work by yourself and in a group. You know the right kinds of places where you want to put yourself, physical places, to attack certain creative problems. You've become adept at thinking up ideas, but also skilled at implementing them. But there's one problem that I want to talk about quickly before we go, and that is that it is well established that creative people are unusually subject to dark moods and depression. Our identity is wrapped up in our work, and because of the uncertainties of the business we're in, it's a pretty dangerous basket to put all your eggs in. We have chosen an unconventional path. We take risks that society and even our peers think are foolish. Talking with folks here, I've talked with a lot of people who say, my family, when I said I wanted to work in games, not the best reaction. So as creative people, we work without a net. Our artistic goals are subject to attack from both outside and from our own internal thoughts and from the harsh environment that we work in. So when you're feeling like that, here's just a quick list of ideas that might help. Take care of yourself. Eat well. Exercise. Keep your body healthy. Alcohol. People think that they create well when they're drinking. Alcohol is not your friend. Alcohol is fun, but when you're drinking, you're not working. Again, if you're asleep, you're not working. You're drinking, you're not working. If you see me with a beer, you know that my workday is over. I'm not sure caffeine is such a good idea either. When you're feeling overwhelmed, tackle large problems one small piece at a time. Allow yourself to be less than perfect. Sometimes good enough is actually good enough. If you're a procrastinator, see if there's some things that you can handle right away. Sometimes the underbrush piles up so high that you can't even see the trees, much less the forest. Also, try just crossing some things off the list so you can stop worrying about them, especially things that you feel like you ought to do. You have this sense of obligation, but then you realize that you don't actually have to do them. For some of us, you look back at work you've done before and you say, boy, that was good. I was really good then. I will never be that good again. That was good, but now I'm done. That fear is unfounded. You know more now than you did then. You still have good work and pleasant surprises ahead of you. You guys are all young. You probably don't have this problem. Find something that's fun, probably something that's unrelated to work. And find a reason to believe that you and your work matter. Your work is important. Because our products are entertainment, that's sometimes difficult. We think, oh, it's just a game. It's not all that important. But I believe that in order for us to be happy, we have to feel that our work is important. So in conclusion, learn your craft and learn things that don't have anything to do with your craft. Pay attention to and cultivate the different personalities that are already living inside your body. Know when it's time to use the hare brain and the tortoise mind. Try to bring meaningful work into your life, work that gives you autonomy, complexity, and purpose. And if you want to live a creative life, above all, keep learning, play nice, and work hard. That's it. Thank you so much.